that going to work?
Absolutely. So a plan like this, of this magnitude, will include a lot of community participation. So it'll be, from public meetings to surveys, all that kind of stuff will be included in a plan like this.
I guess, what's the ultimate goal from this, if that makes sense?
Absolutely. So basically, this plan will set us up with a pipeline of projects that then we can turn around and go and apply for additional federal funding. So as we all know, there's a lot of transportation dollars out there right now, and there's more cycles of these implementation grants coming online every spring and every fall. So if we get this grant, which is due in 3 short weeks, it really will help us be strategic about the kind of money we need to go for to get some things on the ground.
Good. Okay. I like to see that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Committee members, do you have any more questions? Okay, well, there's been a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
That item passes. Thank you. Next item is item number 8, a resolution approving and authorizing the mayor to execute and deliver an agreement for microtransit services between River North Transit LLC, a wholly owned subsidiary of Via Transportation Incorporated, and the City of Birmingham to provide transportation services along with the technology and professional services for the design, marketing, launch, operation, maintenance, and performance evaluation for a period not to exceed 3 years for an amount not to exceed $2,640,000 per year.
Move the item.
Second. Okay, Chief. Well, I guess you're coming back.
Okay, hello again. So it's hard to believe that it's been 3 years since we started our service with VIA. And so here we are negotiating, or we've actually already done an RFP, and we have a contract ready to sign for the next 3 years of service that will enable us to continue this service without any interruptions, and will enable us to plan for future extension and expansion.
I apologize. Committee members, do you have any questions, Madam President?
Yes, I'm interested in the extension and expansion.
Yeah, the
Of
extension.
the VIA footprint. It doesn't go very far. So extension and expansion, you just said those words. And
That's right.
I want to hear more about the extension and the expansion, because the south side, a lot of south side is not served. And a lot of people don't walk very well. And so, if you can't walk to get to the border, you can't use VIA.
Nor
That's
the east
right.
side either.
So this puts us in a position to begin to decide where we're going to expand and perhaps extend hours. BJCTA has also entered into a contract with VIA to add microtransit to their service, and so we have a meeting on the books to discuss with VIA and BJCTA and the city how all these services can work together, because it will give us the opportunity to expand. We're just not quite there yet. So if you'll give us a few more weeks, we will come back with a plan for what that looks like. We had to get this contract in place first.
Okay, I'll wait.
Okay.
Since I have to.
Yeah. Madam President?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Like Mrs. Abbott, I guess I appreciate VIA. I love VIA. It stops just at the beginning of where my neighborhood begins. And a lot of the residents, they have to drive over to Crossplex to, be able to use the service. So I was hoping that this money's had more expansion plans in it than just to keep it running.
Yeah.
It does.
Okay.
It does.
And how would we know, or would you, since we're giving you the money, would you be, if we vote positively, how would we have some opportunity to learn as that expansion begins?
Yeah, I think that's the conversation Ms. Argo was saying, that this, because the council already approved the funding for this already, so this is just extending the agreement for 3 more years to allow them time to look at the dynamics of the data to make sure that we're in the right footprints when it comes to the potential of expansion of the VIA program. This just gives us the opportunity to keep the conversation going without a stop in service, because without this contract that will be approved, or we hope to be approved, the contract the service will end as soon as I think it ends on the 30th of September.
It's very close.
Yeah.
I guess my other concern is when you're talking with BJCTA, I feel that the bus rapid transit system, or what is it, BHAM Express, is very valuable to us as well. But it's a point of the residents in my district, we still have to drive over to Crossplex to utilize the service. So I know we were over at the terminal, and you may not be able to answer this question, but when you talk with them, if you just ask what are plans for where people would park, say if I wanted to drive over, and we were thinking of riding to council meeting one day, and just where we park, what we do, and again, how to connect my residents to UAB and Princeton and some of those tourist places, entertainment opportunities. So I am anxious to see how that expansion would include that as well.
Absolutely. One way how microtransit really is effective is how it can feed into your BRTs and your fixed routes. So that is certainly, something that we're going to be looking at.
Okay,
so,
thank you.
Yeah.
That's my other questions. Thank you.
Okay. I will make this comment. I've tried to use VIA twice, and I actually had to cancel because I was about to be late for my events. So I don't know if that's something internally you can try to address. I mean, they did apologize for it and everything, but I want to be able to make sure that we can support it. Because literally, I was trying to go from my law office. I think we had some at the Sports Hall of Fame or the sports. So I was trying to use it because they weren't even parks, but I couldn't because I was about to miss the whole event. So
I'm sorry about that. How was that recent?
yeah, that was a few months ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, certainly we'll share that feedback and see if there's anything going on that I should know about.
Yes, but thank you for that. I see them all throughout downtown when I'm going to and from work. So I definitely think it's being utilized. So, okay.
Absolutely.
Well, if neither committee member has any more questions, there's been a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. The item passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 11, a resolution approving and authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the Regional Planning Commission of Greater Birmingham to assist with the management oversight of the American Rescue Plan Act Good Jobs Challenge Grant received by the city from the United States Economic Development Administration, EDA, funding opportunity number EDA HDQ ARPGJ 2021-2006964 for the city to form partnerships to grow regional economics and their workforces by building training programs that meet skills needs of employers, specifically targeting historically underserved populations and areas, communities of color, women, and other groups facing with labor market barriers for a period not to exceed 3 years for a cost of $100,000 per year.
Move the item.
Second.
Okay. Ms. Amelia?
Good afternoon. Good to see you all. Amelia Muller with the Mayor's Office, and I'm joined by my colleague Sarah McMillan from our Department of Innovation and Economic Opportunity back there as well. We are really thrilled to come before you to celebrate the fact that the city has received a $10.8 million workforce development grant from the Economic Development Administration under the American Rescue Plan Act. So this is the Good Jobs Challenge grant. We came in front of you, I think January or February of this year to say that we were applying, and this is a huge win for Birmingham. We are one of 32 recipients of this grant nationwide, and one of about 25% of the recipients who are focused on healthcare jobs. So our goal with this is to train 1,000 individuals in higher wage, high quality healthcare jobs, and to place at least 800 of those individuals in jobs at our 5 major healthcare employers and beyond. So really excited about all that's before us. We're in the early days of this grant, and this particular agreement that's in front of you is really for grant administration services from the Regional Planning Commission. So we want to make sure that we're moving efficiently and effectively on this grant so that really we can train and hire as many people as we can as quickly as we can. So we're teaming up with RPC on a lot of those grant management logistics just to make sure we're buttoned up on our invoicing and reporting and all of that to EDA. This is what they do day in, day out. They typically administer grants for other municipalities, specifically with the EDA. So this is to put that agreement in place with them. And then from that, other sub-awards will flow after that.
So how will you select the individuals that will be trained?
That is a great question. So we are working through that. So specifically, I think one of the things that we're really proud of, and one of the reasons why the city led on this grant, which is City of Birmingham and the region, was because we were really laser focused on our underserved populations, women, underemployed, justice involved individuals, et cetera. And so I think it's something like over 90% of the projected trainees we expect to be from those populations. And a lot of that will come down to our recruitment and our work to get the word out. So we built into the budget for the grant marketing and outreach. We will also have essentially career coaches that are a part of the program, with whom people can come in and meet and talk a little bit about the various workforce pathways and kind of help to understand what might be the right fit for them. We're also really excited that it includes wraparound services, so access to funding for childcare and transportation to ensure that as people are going through training opportunities, they can actually succeed in those opportunities because they have the services that they need to complete them.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I definitely want to make sure that this is being targeted to the outskirts of Birmingham, so half of 6, 7, 8, and 9, and really 4 and some of 5, because I think historically a lot of times we kind of forget about them. We'll target people in downtown, or I love Titusville, but even Titusville, South Side. So I really want to make sure that we target those people who really need it. Because I think it'll help with crime. So, committee members, do you have any questions?
I do,
Madam
thank you.
President?
Well, first I want to acknowledge and thank you all for the submission of the grant. Pro Tem and I had an opportunity, we actually talked with, I think she was the undersecretary or the assistant secretary of EDA, and she sort of told us a little bit at that meeting that how wonderful the grant submission had been, and when we said Birmingham, she immediately focused on that grant. So thank you all for that. You really made an impression there with the grant. Like Councilor Pro Tem, I'm curious, having worked in the allied health field for most of my career, I just have a question, and you don't have to get down to the nuts and bolts of it, but with this workforce development training, would the employer be training the people that you're going to be targeting for these programs? Are you working in conjunction with any junior colleges or any other programs?
That is a great question. So the way that this grant is structured is really sort of threefold. One is to make sure that employers are at the table and really keenly identifying their hiring needs. Two is to make sure training providers are at the table. Okay. So that's Jeff State, Lawson State, and others, as well as workers and workforce representing organizations. So you really kind of have that three-part system of employers, training providers, and workers themselves. Historically, healthcare employers have held a lot of that training in-house, and we find that, candidly, that makes it inaccessible to a lot of our residents who don't know how to kind of penetrate these big institutions. And so it was really important to us to think about a portfolio of partners in this grant so that we could reach residents who historically don't access those opportunities. So we're excited that it's a chance for us to supercharge existing partnerships. So for example, we'll be working with the Women's Foundation of Alabama, who is already working with Jeff State on a fast track training program that has sort of direct lines into St. Vincent's and hiring opportunities there, as well as sourcing new opportunities with partners like Strive that have a really strong track record of doing this in other municipalities and are looking to expand in Birmingham. So we think that as an outcome of this grant, we'll really have a stronger sense of how to reach those populations that typically aren't accessing those training opportunities, and the chance to really follow on and build some employer buy-in in that follow-on training as well.
Well, that's excellent, because that does make me feel very good about the potential and the opportunity for, again, you say residents who may not be thought of to be recruits for these type jobs. And I know there is a lot of on-the-job training that takes place in the healthcare field, but typically you have to know what of those jobs to go for and where they exist. So thank you. I like that as a component. That's it. Thank you. Again, I thank you.
Wonderful. Well, and I would just add too, just for your own visibility, and as you're talking about this in your districts, the grant is a 3-year grant, and the first really 3 or 4 months are system development. So us bringing all those players to the table and making sure everybody's really linking arms and thinking about this with our workers at the center. The next phase is the program design phase, so doing that fine-tuning of job pathways through those healthcare jobs with training providers, and then into program implementation, which is the actual training component. So really we won't be in a position to start advertising training opportunities for a good 9+ months from now. So just as you're thinking about this opportunity, and as you may get questions from your constituents, there's a longer time horizon to somebody being able to sign up, but certainly an immediate opportunity for us to have conversations with those residents and others about their needs.
Thank you for bringing that up, because we, as counselors, we've been working with the mayor. We sort of charged him on Friday how we want to more effectively communicate to our residents opportunities and programs and things that we have coming up. So I would hope that you all be creative and kind of open that up, because for the populations that you're trying to present.
Absolutely, yes.
And so
we'll be singing loudly about this.
Final question. So that communication will be coming from the city and not the employers, because it's our program, right? So.
It's our program. I think, candidly, we're still working through whether this will be sort of a branded program in partnership with City of Birmingham, et cetera. But yes, our channels would be promoting heavily. I imagine employers would too. We'd be working with partners that are in the community to cross-promote too. So I think all of the above is on the table for promotion.
Okay, thank you. That's
yes.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Abbott.
Yeah, just to make sure that I understand. So the Regional Planning Commission will design the program and how everything will fit together so that the people who need the training and the people who want the trained employees will meet up in the middle somewhere and all get together?
So the Regional Planning Commission is actually helping really more on the grant management and administration side of like the actual dollars themselves and the reporting. That system development and the sort of coordinating work that you described really will be our team in combination with employers, training providers, and others. So this support is really in that sort of grant management side of things. So accounting, compliance, making sure that we're really buttoned up on everything that we need to be doing to be compliant with the EDA.
Oh, okay. So all this description is really somebody else's work, not the Regional Planning Commission. So who is doing what I just said that the Regional Planning Commission is not doing?
So as we wrote it in the grant, the sort of convening work will be largely undertaken by the Central 6 Alabama Works Workforce Development Council and Innovate Birmingham, which has historically played a role in the tech space, but is increasingly playing a larger role in employer coordination and sort of expanding that capacity through this grant into this space. We will also be very, very much at the table. Essentially, the way that this is structured is there will be a kind of health sector leadership council that includes our leadership, Jefferson County leadership, chairs of the boards of several organizations, including BBA, Prosper, Central 6, Innovate, and others. And then there'll be sort of subcommittees. So it really will be a group effort. That kind of coordinating capacity of a lot of that will fall to the City of Birmingham and then to those partners at Central 6 and Innovate who are playing that kind of lead coordinator role.
Okay, well, I guess I'm kind of getting in the weeds. I want to know how to tell the people who need a job and need job training how to get in touch with the employer that wants them and where they meet for, where it comes together so that the person gets the training and gets the job.
You and me both. So that's actively what we're working through in these
So that's
first.
what we all want.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a fair question, and it's really the substance of the first few months of this grant is to think about how we make that process much more legible for job seekers, because right now it's sort of sprinkled all over the place at career centers and specific employers and job boards and kind of all over the place. And so one of our goals is to make that very clear and easy for workers to navigate and for all of us to promote that to our constituents. So rest assured we'll make that very clear once we have those answers made plain.
Okay, thank you. That was my only question.
Okay, thank you. If there are any more questions, there's been a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. The item passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And then item 13, an agreement for consulting services with Create Birmingham Incorporated, under which Create Birmingham will provide professional services in attracting and developing film, television, commercial, music video, and other media productions that will have a significant impact on the city's local creative economy while raising Birmingham's national profile as a dynamic and hospitable place to do business for a term of 1 year and for an amount not to exceed $150,000.
Move the item.
Second.
Chief.
Yes. So this agreement was already budgeted in our fiscal year budget, but I want to bring forth Ms. Megan Ann Bridgman that can come speak to what Create Birmingham will be doing on behalf of the city when it comes to our cultural arts. Thanks.
Hello, how are you guys?
Hello.
So this is exciting. This came from the mayor's first 100 days recommendation, and last year we were funded for $50,000 for Film Birmingham, which was wonderful. So this actually allows us to expand our scope of work based on the city's town hall and what the community wanted, and it's really in 4 areas. So the first is the Birmingham 365 calendar, where we can invest more time in proactively posting an arts calendar for free. So artists, 501c3 arts and culture nonprofits will have access to this calendar. They have access now, but they don't have the staff to post on the calendar, so we're going to take that burden away and just do it ourselves, administer those postings, and then have a specific arts and calendar only calendar where we filter it down. That was one of the requests from creatives in our community. They wanted that calendar. So funding will go towards that effort. And then $40,000 of this will be earmarked to sub-grant into community arts grants. So 4 $10,000 grants. And if approved, we would love for each district to have a representative to serve as a grant panelist. And we want to do partnered grants, where it's a partnered 501c3 arts and cultural org with a neighborhood organization to have programming. So we want to give money back to artists in the community to do great work in your districts. It will also support some of our creative kind of community art sponsorships. And then, I don't know if any of you have heard of the Comic Strip Challenge, but that'll carry on for next year. That's in part of this budget, where we're awarding people ages 8 and up monthly for comic strip submissions. It's a small cash award, but we want to incentivize kids and adults alike to work in the creative industries. Some of the money will go to scholarshiping folks who want to go through our Co-Starters program, where we focus on creative entrepreneurship. It's a 10-week kind of streetwise MBA where creatives learn how to monetize their skills. And then, of course, we'll continue our work at Film Birmingham.
What was the last one?
Film Birmingham.
Fun Birmingham?
Films. Our film work. So we serve as the city's film office, basically the commission for Jefferson County. And it's work that's not super flashy, but it's important. We are actively working on some really big budget films to come in January. We have one. We're like helping with parking and notifying city officials and park folks, like who's going to be where on what day as the schedule changes, and then helping with location scouting. So when we hear producers call and say, we need these looks on these dates, we send location packages of our city to say, hey, we can do a farm look here, or this century kind of building here. So there's a lot of work that's behind the scenes before we even get films to come here. And that's why it's so strongly focused in economic development, is to attract films here and then keep them happy while they're here and keep all of the city's staff happy while they're here, which is easier said than done some days. And this revised scope of work was submitted as part of the contract. So the city has this exact layout with the revised scope of work based on the budget that was allocated.
Okay, good. Committee members, do you have any questions? Council Abbott, do you have any questions?
Can we get a copy of that,
Certainly.
your revised scope of work?
Mm-hmm.
Because it seems like Create Birmingham used to basically emphasize just the film and video industry, and sure they did other things, but it was film and videos, and it sounds like you're branching out.
Well,
But-
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's as she noted at the beginning, this came out of the Mayor's 100-Day Initiative. This was one of the things that we wanted to expand when it comes to cultural arts. And so using them as our caveat is the reason why we're having this before the council, to show that we want to check that box off when it comes to cultural arts expansion.
And Councilor Abbott, just so you know, historically, Create Birmingham is an economic development agency focused on creative industry development. That is our 501c3. The Film Birmingham initiative actually falls underneath that work. So historically, we were funded exclusively for the film work, but we've always been kind of a neutral administrative creative industry supporter. And I think that's why we were identified as the organization to do this work, because we're not performing artists.
I got you. So
Yeah.
Buddy was doing the film part.
Well, I'm the new buddy.
And so you're just expanding further. I got
Yes,
you.
we're basically just, this funding was to speak to some of the other work that we have been doing, but the city has not funded historically.
Correct.
But it's still all the same mission under all the same 501c3.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But I would like your expanded
Sure.
scope.
We can provide it. I can email it to you.
Yes, thank you. Madam President?
Yes, thank you very much. I just had a couple of questions. When it comes to the comic strip challenge and the scholarships, how do you communicate that? Do you work with the school system, or do you work with, I just wonder, what's your avenue to get people to know about this?
Sure. So the comic strip challenge was new, and that was born out of partnership with the Birmingham Public Library
Okay.
and Create Hubs. And I mean, at the end of the month, I literally just sit down and email everybody in
Okay.
Jefferson County schools, and it worked. Last time it was our first month. And then for co-starters, for the scholarships for co-starters, we really rely on LinkedIn, social media, kind of digital marketing platforms to get the word out. And it's a well-known program now. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, if there aren't any more questions, there's been a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that item passes. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. We don't have any old and new business. The next Budget and Finance Committee meeting will be on Monday, October 10th at 3:30 p.m. Chief, are we open for Columbus Day? Okay, well then be October 10th. Okay, well, is there a motion for adjournment?
Move for adjournment.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.